Salud to all my amplified unit members out there, man. What a Smackdown review we put out this weekend. I put that vid out, that recording, knowing it was gonna cause a stir, knowing that we were going to tap on that button that every bitch boy Braden and crybaby Karen has. We were gonna push that button and they were gonna cry. How dare you talk about my WWE? And they were going to defend WWE for this last minute bullshit, adding Daniel Bryan into a match that many were looking forward to, one-on-one, Edge versus Roman for the championship at WrestleMania. Who would have thought people would be pissed off that a champion isn't taking on a number one contender at a big pay-per-view, the biggest of the year? And we're gonna have multiple number one contenders. One dude literally cried his way into the match. But that's all you gotta do these days. Just ask Rhea Ripley, right? She didn't have to cry, actually. She just said, I would like a title match. She just waltzes in the WWE. She's like, I want a match. And Asuka's like, okay. And boom, Rhea Ripley bypassed everybody. But the WWE fans out there, and I use that lightly, they're okay with it. It's Rhea Ripley. It's gonna be a good match. Nobody cares how we get to something. Nobody cares if things make sense. Nobody cares about logic and common sense. As long as it's gonna be a good match. And you don't even know that, because you don't know Vincent Kennedy McMahon like BC Amplified knows Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince will still probably give them 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And make sure that it's not a good match. Don't be so sure. Don't cling on Vince McMahon's balls. He doesn't need his ego stroked anymore. On the same card, you have Almost. That's right, I call him Almost. He's got his first match ever on that main roster, and he's going for a championship too. But everybody's okay with all of it. Daniel Bryan added 2 weeks before the actual event, a dream match to many, and whether you think it's a dream match or not, whether it is to you or not, the title match is there for a reason. Edge wins the Royal Rumble, he gets to take on the champion of his choosing. One-on-one, that's the rule. That's what it's always been. Unless it's 2014, 7 years ago, when Daniel Bryan, of all people, was inserted somehow into this whole situation. And that's why people are saying Edge got Batista'd, because Batista won that year, and it was Daniel Bryan who found his way in the mix. But you see, back then, Daniel Bryan, the Yes Movement, that was something huge. Vince had no other choice, man. You had to stroke the ego of the Yes Movement, because the Yes Movement wasn't going away. Here we are 7 years later, and it's almost like we're trying to manufacture that same feeling. We're all trying to get everybody on board with this Daniel Bryan movement, and it's not even a movement. Daniel Bryan has been irrelevant in 2020, and in 2021, he's been racking up one loss after another. A couple to Cesaro, a couple to Roman Reigns, but yet he's crying his way into a main event that is Edge's spot. And there's fans out there that are loving this and are dumbfounded that people are not on board. Why are people having a problem with this? It's Daniel Bryan. Yeah, Daniel Bryan, the same guy who is just irrelevant right now as he was in 2020. Nobody gives a fuck. I like Daniel Bryan in no way, shape, or form. Should this dude be in a main event going for a championship, just hasn't been booked that way. In fact, Cesaro would have that spot if you're asking BC in 2021. Cesaro would be more inclined to be in that match. How does Daniel Bryan get this? I'm still dumbfounded. But there's people that are stroking WWE's cock. They're shining Vince's balls for some reason. They're going as far as to say, now this is WrestleMania season. Now I'm pumped up. It's going to be a good match. Same thing I was hearing with Rhea Ripley. and Asuka. Nobody cares about Rhea just showing up and getting a title match. Meanwhile, making the entire women's division look like idiots. Why shouldn't we could have just asked? Naomi didn't have to hold the hand of Lana. Naomi could have just asked. Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, you could have just asked. The company doesn't care about how they get to a place, to a match. So why should we? But you have these WWE fans that think they can do no wrong or let them off the hook. They'll claim they shit on WWE 90% of the time. But this is the right decision. Bypassing the entire women division is the right decision. How about you plan ahead and you plant Rhea Ripley the right way 2 months before? No, this company is very last minute. Daniel Bryan, it's gonna be a good match. I'm okay with this triple threat, basically. That's great. That's your prerogative. That's your opinion. But once you start touching your little grubby fingers on that keyboard, and you start to put down the people that actually have logic and common sense in the community, and we're calling bullshit on this triple threat match, that's when I have an issue, because you're trying to turn your opinion into a fact. Just because you like Daniel Bryan in a triple threat does not get away from the facts that it is wrong. The Royal Rumble is now rendered meaningless. So because you get your way and you have a triple threat, and now it's going to be a good match, basically. It's going to be a good match. What about the Royal Rumble? Now, every year when they say this is the moment that somebody gets an opportunity one-on-one with a champion of their choice at WrestleMania, now we all know it's bullshit. It's bull. That's not the case, because now we know there's 2 fucking pay-per-views before we get to Mania, and bullshit booking to blur the lines and muddy the waters. That's the truth. But if you don't have logic and common sense, or you just want to turn a blind eye, or you just want to stroke Vince McMahon's ego and his cock, and shine up his balls real nicely, and say WWE at least is making right decisions now. The triple threat, Rhea Ripley, almost going for a tag title. I know it doesn't make sense, BC and the AMP unit and smart wrestling fans, but just give it a chance. It's gonna be good matches. I could see great matches at the local bingo hall with Danny Dipshit Dugenheimer and Fuckwad Fred. Special guest referee, my local pizza delivery guy, Luigi Lugnuts. I can see a great wrestling match at the local bingo hall. I can see damn solid wrestling if they allow them time on a Raw, a Smackdown, AEW Dynamite, and ROH. I can go over to Impact and probably catch some good wrestling. Definitely New Japan. WrestleMania is more than just a good match. It's about those epic storylines going into it. It's about those monumental moments. It's about the excitement, the aura, the feel. And you're telling me you feel that for this WrestleMania? This card is bogus. Sure, it's filled with what could be good matches. How we got there? Utter bullshit. The feeling that we have for these matches? Non-existent. Cesaro and Rollins. Good match. Of course. Is it going to be, though? Is Vince going to allow them the time? That's another story. He could give them 7 minutes, and what could have been a 20-25 minute classic could wind up 7 minutes and forgettable. By the time the night is through, you're already forgetting about Cesaro and Rollins. It's a match you could easily see on a Raw or a Smackdown, let's be honest. Nobody needs to see Cesaro and Rollins on a pay-per-view. I'll do you one better. Owens and Rollins. I'm sorry, Owens and Zayn. How could I fuck that up? We've only seen it 156 times. And you say BC. They usually put on good matches. I know, BC literally said that in his Smackdown review this past week. They put on great matches half the time. But it's 2021. It's WrestleMania 37. We've seen them for years now, battling through NXT and WWE. Some of the most vicious, volatile feuding has been between Zayn and Owens. But it's 2021. It's WrestleMania 37. It's done. That's in the past. In fact, the last time that they promoted Zayn and Owens, they literally had to promote it as the last time ever, because even fans that were down with that match, all 156 times, were like, dude, that's gotta be it, though. I mean, we've seen everything you could do. We've seen the worst, or should I say the best of feuding. you can't go any higher. In fact, the last several times they fought, it was just to fill TV time. That's gotta stop. In WrestleMania 37 this year, they had nothing for Owens. They had nothing for Zayn, so they just revisit this shit as if this feud is what it once was years ago. So I guess what I'm saying, there's no guess. What I am telling you is we've seen better out of Zayn and Owens than the feud, the build, the story going into 37. So what do you expect to get out of this? The same shit we saw years ago? Then we're not getting anything better in WrestleMania 37. But you have people that don't care. They're just like, Zayn Owens, I'm happy. And that's how Vince McMahon gets away with all of this shit that he's putting out there, that he's presenting to his audience. And with those people saying, I'm okay with this, that's why and how he keeps doing it. And all of us with logic and common sense and knowledge in the business, and we want to see it grow and get better and progress, we stay stunted. The growth is stunted. It goes nowhere. It halts. In fact, it regresses because of those so-called fans that are okay with Owens and Zayn for 157th time because it should be a good match. That are okay with Rhea Ripley making the entire women's division look like clueless clowns because creative is clueless clowns and they just have her show up and say, I get a title match. But there's people saying it's okay. Should be a good match. And it doesn't progress WWE, the product, the business at all. Almost on his very first match on the main roster going for a championship. You know, just like Rhea Ripley just showing up and saying, I want a title match. Almost now gets a title match on his very first match on the main roster. And people are okay with this. And that's fine. That's your opinion. That's your prerogative. But when you start hitting the keyboard and you're asking why people are upset or saying, if you don't like it, don't watch. Or I don't see why people are crying about this. This is a great WrestleMania. We're going to have good matches. Nobody cares about them. Nobody really cares about Rollins and Cesaro. The only thing we could say is, should be a good match. There's no care. No thought was put into this story. Rollins comes back, Cesaro stays by ringside, looking awkward actually. Then all of a sudden, Cesaro swings him every week. What a storyline! Owens and Zayn, should be a good match. What's the story? Zayn got upset because Owens wouldn't be in his documentary and kicked him in the face. Damn, gotta put that on WrestleMania for the 157th time. There's no care. Rhea Ripley showed up and said, I want a title match with Asuka. Should be a good match. What's the story? She just showed up and asked for a title match, and now I care? You care about it now? That's WrestleMania worthy? WrestleMania is more than just what should be a good match. And again, you're putting too much stock into Vince McMahon. He'll probably give each one of those matches 7 to 10 minutes. You give him way too much credit when he has time after time let you down. Scarred you even. With how bad he can book shit. Yet you keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. You keep letting him off the hook. You keep giving him rope. On this channel, we call out the bullshit right from the booking. Right from the jump. And it goes full circle right back to Daniel Bryan 2 weeks before WrestleMania in the big main event. Many people looking forward to it. Many people calling it a dream match. And they stick Daniel Bryan in there. And this is where the hypocrisy comes from. This is just hypocritical fans. As Daniel Bryan, their own hero, once said, they are fickle as fuck. Fickle is Daniel Bryan's word that he uses for these fans. And I couldn't agree more. Because the same people that are saying Edge is too old to be in the main event by himself, 47, he's too old, are the same people that probably hung on everything Chris Jericho did when he won the AEW championship and during his title reign, which even he didn't compete every week. Even he was off the show several weeks or commentating several weeks. He wasn't wrestling every week with that championship. In fact, every week Jericho was gaining weight. Jericho, many times in his matches couldn't even perform the moves that he once could do in his sleep. But everyone let Jericho off the hook. Nobody was talking about the dude's age. But Edge all of a sudden can no longer go. Edge is looking old. That was a story that Meltzy Boy broke. And a lot of dipshits in the community hung on every word in that report. We're hearing that Vince McMahon thinks that Edge looks too old. What are you talking about, bro? This doesn't sound like a made-up story to you? Edge is looking old? Goldberg didn't look old when he won a championship. Undertaker didn't look old when he was in big-time WrestleMania matches. Vince gave them the ball, no problem. Edge looking old was a bogus story. Bogus to the highest degree, and if you are one of those clowns claiming Edge is too old, he's looking too old, then that is hypocritical to the highest degree, and you are a hypocrite, because I wasn't hearing these cries with Chris Jericho. And even when he lost the championship, still competing on Dynamite, and I would see this dude almost fall on his head trying to do a lion salt. Just a lion salt. Something he could do in his sleep. But you could clearly see he gained weight. He was looking older. But nobody was crying out. This is just literal hate on Edge, spewed, formed at the core of some of the most pathetic dipshits in this community, podcasters and YouTubers. And they form these theories. They form this bullshit and these bogus tabloid rubbish stories. And people grasp onto them. And it's just spewing hatred toward Edge when it's unjustified, and hypocritical more than anything else. And you want to talk hypocritical, the same people that had a problem with Charlotte Flair, I was one of them, by the way, for justified reasons, but everybody had a problem when Charlotte was inserted to Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch's business for justified reasons. We saw what Vince was trying to do for weeks, and then just a couple weeks beforehand, he actually announces Charlotte into this match, and we were outraged. That's not how it should be. Let them handle their business. That's what's fair anyway. That's what makes the most sense. But no, Charlotte got inserted, and the same motherfuckers that had a problem with it, they're okay with Danny Bryan in this match with Edge and Roman. They're okay with it because they like Daniel Bryan. Yeah, and then they say this makes sense. They say this is more of a story than Edge and Roman. They claim that Edge and Roman had no story, so they weren't excited. So this makes them excited. They didn't have a story, dumbass, because Vince never allowed them to. Go back during the last couple months and see the one-on-one altercations with Roman and Edge. They were phenomenal. You were on the edge of your seat with their promo alone. But because they had Elimination Chamber and Fastlane, Vince McMahon had to throw in the third wheel, Daniel Bryan. And enough people started speaking on the internet because their voice matters. Danny Bryan should be going for the title. Danny Bryan. Why isn't Danny Bryan going? He represents us 5'9", 160-pound soaking wet dudes. I don't want to see just superstar Edge and superstar Roman. We need to get one of these guys that looks like me in there. That's what these fans were saying. Joe Schmo and Joe Schmuck sitting at home. They want to see their local hero, Dan Bryan. So here comes Dan Bryan all of a sudden. Literally, the storyline that everybody is saying is better than Edge and Roman. And again, Vince didn't even allow them to have a storyline. There are only occasions that they had a one-on-one promo. They absolutely crushed it, and it was intriguing. Could you imagine if Danny Bryan was not a part of the equation the last 2 months? Edge and Roman would have been rock star status. They would have been electrifying. That's what nobody wants to talk about. They want to talk about how lack of a story there was, but they don't want to place blame on Vince McMahon. He didn't allow Edge to have a story with Roman. Tell the truth. Tell the fucking truth. No, we don't tell the truth. No. No, we're going to fill our narrative. They didn't have a storyline. It was Daniel Bryan that was in the storyline. Yeah, because Vince made it such. And it was a fucking horrible storyline. Don't fool yourself. Or if you're going to, don't turn it around and try to fool B, C, Amplified, my amplified unit. My people, the smartest motherfuckers in the wrestling community, you ain't pulling that shit here. Telling me Daniel Bryan has been a fun feud with Roman or Edge? Bullshit! This dude lost square up in fucking a minute at Elimination Chamber. Fair and square, I don't care if he fought 35 people in a Texas death match beforehand. He lost his one-on-one match with Roman. That's it. Somehow he gets another match at Fastlane, and he loses. He loses because he did not prevent the original referee from getting knocked out, A. B, he hit the fucking special enforcer with a steel chair. Did you honestly think there wasn't going to be retaliation? You've been a pro wrestler for over 20 years. You know that. So he tapped Roman out a little bit. That's the story. No, you lost. You fucking lost. If you deserve another rematch down the line, then you'll get it after Edge gets his one-on-one because he did win the Rumble, and that's what he is owed. But he comes out on Smackdown, and the storyline is they literally, for anybody who thinks this is the right decision to be made, WWE made you look like an idiot. The whole story Friday night was Daniel Bryan in WWE admitting that he shouldn't be in the match. Admitting that he's crying and bitching his way into it. Because the whole story was, I understand people are upset. He literally said on SmackDown, I understand a lot of people are upset with this, but I think I should be in the main event. And I don't care how we do it. You can have one-on-one matches and I can take on the winner. I could be on night number 2, but I should be at WrestleMania. But they literally had to try to let people know that they understand the frustration. They understand this is bullshit. They literally spent the entire night trying to even wrestle with the idea of putting Daniel Bryan in the match. That tells you right there, WWE was in panic mode. They were backpedaling. They knew this decision was going to come with a lot of outrage. A lot of people that are actually smart were going to have a problem with this. They knew it. And that's what everybody that loves this decision is trying to say today and going forward toward WrestleMania. It was a better storyline. Hey, fucking idiot, dumb schmuck. Twiddle Tits McGee, listen up. There was no story. You think somebody as knowledgeable in pro wrestling like BC is excited for anything Daniel Bryan is doing with Roman or Edge for WrestleMania? Get out of here, bro. What was exciting to you? His Elimination Chamber match with Roman? What awesome parts of their story are you remembering to the build-up to Fastlane? What happened between Roman and Daniel Bryan leading up to Fastlane are you going to remember for months and years to come? Nothing! From Fastlane till now, what are you remembering from this feud? Nothing! It hasn't been memorable. It hasn't even been good. It has been weird. It has been awkward. It has been bullshit. Leading us exactly right back to where we started. Daniel Bryan has no fucking business in this shit. Other than you saying, it's gonna be a better match now. Motherfucker, I was gonna be fine with what Edge and Roman were going to do because you have two consummate professionals having their fucking match, to many of us a dream match. And I love the motherfuckers. They go online, they go, this wasn't wait, when somebody says this is a dream match and they're pissed off, and you got a little fucking WWE ball clinger. That's what they are, ball clingers. And they hang on everything fucking Vince does. And they went online and they went, shut up, that was never a dream match. What are you talking about? Well, that person just said it was their dream match. So who the fuck are you to tell them it wasn't a dream match? Fuck out of here. Now it's better because you have a third wheel, and now it's better because it's a schmaz. Now you have multiple number one contenders. Now the lines are blurred and the waters are muddied, and you're okay with a circus sideshow because that's what a triple threat is. It's a circus sideshow. You go online and you try to tell somebody who said they're pissed off their dream match is canceled, and you try to say, it's not a dream match because I said so. My name is Bob McGee, and I said it's not a dream match. And my favorite podcaster agrees with me. My favorite YouTuber also said that this is the right decision. And I also cling on his balls. So this is the right decision. I can confirm. I can confirm that this is the right decision, adding Danny Bryan. Fuck you! Fuck that! And fuck you! Fuck out of here, dude. I don't even know what you're doing on this channel. This channel is way too knowledgeable for your fucking jurisdiction, for your range of knowledge. You can't comprehend the knowledge that BC drops on this fucking channel. Right from the jump, before we even start talking about the story or lack thereof between any three of these dudes, right from the jump, it is a bad decision because the Royal Rumble is now rendered meaningless. You make the Royal Rumble a joke now. How can you possibly advocate for the Royal Rumble winner not getting his promised one-on-one match with a champion? How can you, with a straight face, right there, the argument is over. With a straight face, how can you say that the Royal Rumble winner does not get his one-on-one at WrestleMania? That's the whole premise of the Rumble. That's the whole meaning to go in there and battle 29 other dudes. It's everything. It's not to have another guy in there. And where does it end? Down the road, this opens up the floodgates. Vince is going to have a fatal four-way in the future, trust me, because it's an easy escape route. It's an easy way out. He doesn't have to overthink shit. He can accommodate a lot of different fan bases, and you could see a fatal four-way for a championship in the future. Because that's what you people are now letting the door open, and you're letting them off the hook. Instead of holding Vince McMahon's ass to the coals. Instead, here we are today, and a lot of people are saying, I like this. It feels like WrestleMania season now. Vince has redeemed himself. WWE is back. Fuck it is. Do not let that company and that old man in Stamford off the hook. Don't do it. I ask of you, I beg of you, but if you're still gonna do it, then just fuck you. Because you're not helping the fucking community. You're not helping pro wrestling. You're making it regress. You're making it fucking more trashier than it's ever been. Right from the jump, before we even start debating if this is a good idea or not, and we all get our panties in a bunch and everybody starts fucking crying and all the bitch boys start fucking hollering. Before we even do that, let's just ask right from the jump, is this a decision that should have been made? No. The Royal Rumble winner gets... And the Yes Movement 7 years ago when Batista won that shit, that is the one time that I could possibly advocate something has to be done. The Yes Movement was something we haven't seen ever. Not even Stone Cold's rise. That's different. Nobody's going to get the pop like Stone Cold got. Nobody's ever going to have that meteoric rise. Hulk Hogan was even a different type of response. But the Yes Movement was a whole different thing, man. It was a different beast. So 7 years ago, Mania 30, things had to be readjusted. Something had to be done. I don't know what the fuck happened this year. A pocket of fans started mentioning Daniel Bryan online, and they got louder, and before you knew it, Daniel Bryan was inserted into this son of a bitch, and I feel like we're trying to fake what we felt 7 years ago. This is unorganic. This is far from the Yes Movement. I like Daniel Bryan. I do. One of the best wrestlers in the world. How the fuck is... Cesaro should... If you're going to do a triple threat, and I still would be against it, Cesaro would be more of a deserving opponent and more fun. Still would be against it, but at least Cesaro defeated Daniel Bryan a couple of times in 2021. So at least from the jump of the year, they were booking Cesaro strong. Here you have Cesaro beating D-Bry a couple of times, and Cesaro is in this match with Seth Rollins that you would see on a regular Smackdown, and Daniel Bryan is somehow inserted into a championship main event. And that's what I mean, it doesn't make fucking sense. And if you follow this channel, for months I've been saying this. When these bitch boy Bradens and crybaby Karens were online saying Daniel Bryan should have won the Rumble. And somebody like BC was like, why? What do you mean he should win the Rumble? Why? The fuck you talking about? Daniel Bryan? All of 2020, he was booked into irrelevancy. Mediocrity at best. And then all of a sudden, these fans started coming at bat for Daniel Bryan. And I'm like, oh, if you want him to win, cool. Saying he has to? Somebody like BC doesn't need to or even want to see Daniel Bryan win the Rumble. For what reason? We're not feeling the same like Daniel Bryan like we did 7 years ago. If you want us to, maybe you can put the time, the effort, and the care into his booking. If you book him correctly for like 6 months straight, maybe we can get that feeling back. It'll never be the same like 7 years ago, but we can at least be on board with the booking. That's what I don't understand. These people, how are people not on board with Daniel Bryan being in this main event? Why are they so pissed off? because it doesn't make sense, because they booked him like trash for an entire year, and then all of a sudden, and by the way, even in 2021, he did not win the Rumble. He got beat twice by good buddy Cesaro, and he lost twice to the champion. So what do you mean? How are we upset, or how does this not make sense to us? What are these people on? How do they not understand that none of it makes sense? Or how do they not understand why people are not on board with their lackluster, mediocre, bullshit way of thinking? We're not going to lower our standards. I can speak, another swig. We're not going to lower our standards just because you're fucking stupid. So I was saying, from the jump, how the fuck does it... Everyone said, well, he should win the Rumble. Well, he didn't. Cesaro beats him a couple of times, but yet Daniel Bryan still gets a championship match with Roman at Elimination Chamber, at Fastlane. What the fuck about Cesaro? Right? Let's try to make a new fucking star then. No. We're going to try to recreate something 7 years ago where that feeling is no longer there for many of us. And again, that's the truth. So hopefully this was educational for those schmucks in the community that don't understand why people don't think this makes sense, why they're not on board with this, and why they're upset that they're not getting their dream match, my dream match. This is bullshit. Never at WrestleMania, when a dude wins the Rumble, unless you have some freaky occasion and situation like what did happen 7 years ago with that Yes movement. That was something we've never saw before in wrestling. So Dave Bautista was out in left field with a hockey stick. I feel bad for the dude. But never should a number one contender winning the Rumble not be given his one-on-one championship match on the grandest stage. That's literally what the Rumble is for. Nah, it makes sense to be... 2 weeks before this decision gets switched, this match is canceled. 2 weeks before, and there's people out there stroking Vince's ego in his cock, saying, this makes sense, Vince has redeemed himself, WWE, WrestleMania, feels like Mania season, WWE is back on track. Fuck that and fuck you. I am not letting Vince McMahon off the hook. I am not letting WWE off the hook. Just because you like something does not make it right. Always remember that. That's why I'm always hard on Sasha Banks. This is a pro Sasha Banks channel. I'll be the first to fucking say when her booking is bad, when she is not being utilized correctly, when she is off her game, you're going to hear me come down on Sasha Banks. Just because I like Sasha Banks, just because we love Sasha Banks on this channel, does not mean that we blur the lines and we turn a blind eye to the bullshit. I am always super hard on her because I know what she's capable of and what should be happening and how she should be booked. Just because I like someone does not mean I'm going to let him off the hook. Same thing with Bray Wyatt, and that's why I flipped out with his booking, with Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, with Goldberg at Super Showdown. When Vince McMahon books this dude wrong, I flip the fuck out. Sorry, I had to do an impromptu coffee swig there. Same thing with Bray Wyatt. I love Bray Wyatt, but when shit is bad, we have to talk about it. We have to be honest. Just because you like something doesn't mean that you can lie, not just to yourself, but especially now that everyone has a fucking keyboard and a Twitter or whatever the fuck social media. You can't just lie to everyone else, man, because people come across that. They're either A, gonna call you the fuck out, or you're gonna get some fucking simpleton that's gonna grasp onto your every word. And they're gonna spew the same shit. Before you know it, the community is getting dumber and dumber by the minute. And it all starts with one dishonest prick. You like Daniel Bryan into this motherfucker, dude. That's your opinion. But don't question why people are either upset and or befuddled at the nonsensical decision-making in that company. You can't possibly ask why people are upset in this situation. You can't possibly ask why people don't like this decision just because you do. If you don't understand what this does for the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, the championship, everything loses its fucking prestige just because it's a good match, you can just cry your way into a fucking match. That somebody won the Rumble, what the whole event is based on, you can cry. The whole story Friday night was Daniel Bryan crying his way into the match. You can't tell me any differently. And then people lie to themselves and say the story with Daniel Bryan has been better with Roman. No, it hasn't, because not one memorable moment has been made in the last 2 months. That's how I know there's been no story. None. If you had Daniel Bryan out of the equation and we didn't have to worry about Fastlane or even Elimination Chamber, do you understand how epic Roman Reigns and Edge's story would have been? They never had a chance. They never had a chance. And you have idiots, and this is why I call them schmucks, because they don't know what they're talking about. They literally are saying, Edge and Roman was boring me anyway. What do you mean? They never got a chance. How could they have bored you? They can't bore you because nothing ever was subsidiated by it. Nothing happened. Nothing substantial. Their promos were epic, so I don't know how that bored you. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Bryan was inserted to pump up Elimination Chamber Fastlane. So they never even had a chance. And the rare occasions they had, we were on the edge of our seat with their promo. But they didn't have a good story. The Daniel Bryan one makes more sense because they have history. This is another one I heard. History. Nobody gives a fuck about their history. 7 years ago, it should have been Roman, and it was the Yes Movement. Nobody's talking about that in this storyline. Just because you think about that, it's not part of the story. Nobody is living 7 years ago. Get out of it. I love nostalgia. Right here and now, what's the story? I don't care about what the history they have. They don't have beef that lasted 7 years. You have 2 weeks, you have I think 2, right? 2 Smackdowns to try to make it seem like they have 7 years of beef, 10 years of beef. But that hasn't been the story. So what has been epic with Roman and Daniel Bryan? Nothing! Nothing! Daniel Bryan is stumbling over his words in his promo, so you can't even say that's captivating you. I like Daniel Bryan. There's no justification for this. If you like it, cool. That's on you. Do not question those that don't. Because we will put you in your place. We will call you out, fool. We will call you out, fool. Has to be done. Nobody else will. B motherfucking C definitely will. The AMP unit definitely will. And that brings me to my fucking thank you to all you AMP unit members, man. That video this weekend that we put out, Smackdown review, and we went hard on this shit. You guys showed up and showed out, man. Those numbers, wow, man. Much love. Much love. Thousands of people tuned into that. Hundreds showing that fucking support with the thumbs up. Hundreds commenting in support of the way that we feel, the way that we think, going against the grain. Trust me, in this community, you got some big players that have been doing this much longer than BC. They have a big base because they've been doing it for much longer. And the Tube was much better back in the day at letting people on and keeping subscribers on. Now they like to prevent your vids from going out. So they stop your progress. They actually take subscribers off without you or them knowing about it. It's much harder to build a base these days. But the AMP unit keeps growing nonetheless because we are badass. But there's people in this community on this very platform that have been doing it longer, much bigger bases, and, they feel a different way. And BC is supposed to probably, like every other smaller YouTuber, we're supposed to get in line and just straddle the fucking dick of other YouTubers or podcasters or creators that have bigger audiences. BC didn't do that, though. BC this weekend went against the grain. And, that leaves the door open for the bitch boy Bradens and the crybaby Karens to cry those tears. And they did. We had a lot of crybabies over the weekend, which you guys know, those tears are my amplification. They're like coffee. Coffee and tears, man, keep me amplified. When I know that I'm making bitch boy Bradens cry and crybaby Karens cry those tears, I fucking love it, bro. So we got those as well this weekend. But the amount of people that understood not only what BC was saying, but also reciprocated those thoughts. You guys were fucking awesome, man. That was astounding to see. The AMP unit stood up in unison, and we said, no, we can't in good nature, we can't in good faith keep this held back. We can't let this slide. We have to stand up as the amplified unit. And that's what we did this weekend. This is not right. This is Edge being done dirty. I don't care if you're the biggest Daniel Bryan fan in the world. This isn't even shade to Daniel Bryan. It just shouldn't be happening, especially 2 weeks before the event. This screams Vince McMahon is in panic mode. Vince McMahon did not have anything planned. Not even his big main event matches were sketched in stone. Nothing. And people are letting him off the hook. You can't. This Mania card is pathetic. And it's main evented by a pathetic decision. Pathetic to the highest degree. Thank you, Amp Unit member. Honestly, salute to the smartest wrestling base in this community for understanding why this is wrong on so many fucking levels. Every other motherfucker in the community, they can love this, and they can jerk off while the match is happening, and they can have pictures of Vince, and they can scream out, "Thanks, Vince, for making this feel like WrestleMania season again." We're not gonna do that. We're gonna hold this son of a bitch accountable. Edge was done dirty. That's the bottom line. That's just a fact. I've went over the research. Stamp of approval, period. I can 1,000,000% confirm this is a bad decision. That's confirmed. On this channel, confirmed. Anybody with a different opinion or anything, that's now yours. It will not be on this channel, I assure you. It will not be shown. It will not be allowed. You're spreading lies. It ain't gonna happen. Not on this shit. The Amp Unit has spoken. It is a wrong decision. A period has been put on the end of that sentence. Edge done dirty. Horrible decision. Bryan has no business. Danny has no business being in this main event. BC said so. The Amp Unit has said so. We spoke the fuck up. Amp Unit, rise. Rise up. Much love. Till next time, Raw. I just realized Raw's tonight, so there'll be a review tomorrow at some point. I don't know about live, but there'll be a review, man. And we're going to talk about it, I assure you. I dread to think what they're going to put out there tonight, man. This WrestleMania season is all over the place. I know every year we say, oh, worst ever, man. This is a whole nother category of trash and garbage. If you're going to Tampa, I still think that's a good, I mean, I love Florida anyway, man. Tampa Bay is beautiful. You know, when you go and you go watch some fucking wrestling action, I hope everybody has a damn good time. If you're actually going there, have a ball, man. Just have fun, especially with the year and a half that we've all had. Have fun. But if you're at home watching this shit, don't expect anything, bruh. This is absolute garbage to the highest degree, to the highest of levels. If you don't think so, you're not being true to yourself, or you should not have a keyboard in front of you. You should not have any say at all. That opinion should be kept to yourself. Ant-Man, till next time. Check your leader. Think, be, live, amplified. Did you see the boogeyman? The bad man in the community? The asshole? The mean man on YouTube? His name is BC. He doesn't like Daniel Bryan in this match. What an asshole. What an asshole. Hey, BC, if you don't like it, don't watch it, BC. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll stop watching right now. Okay? Right now. Stop.